All right, welcome back everybody. We are still discussing Integrated Maths Practice 12. This is factoring trinomials at a level 2. If you've not seen part 1, I would encourage you to watch that first as we talk about the rules. As we go through this, feel free to pause the video anytime you need to try any of these that I'm showing you and then match your answer up with mine. See if you got the same thing I did, okay? What I'm looking at here is a 6x squared minus 19x plus 10. This has a leading coefficient of 6. What I would really like at the beginning is to see if every single number can be divided by 6, because that would make the process easier. However, they cannot. 19 cannot be divided by 6, and neither can 10 without giving you a decimal. So I'm going to have to list the factors of 6, which could have been 1 times 6 or 2 times 3, right? And the factors of 10, which are 1 times 10 and 2 times 5. And what I'm looking for is a combination of numbers that will add to make 19. And as if I stare at these, when I think about numbers multiplying, right, I can go forwards or backwards in reverse when I do this. When I'm thinking about numbers that add to make 19, I actually see it here, these two. Because a 3 times a 5 would make 15, and a 2 times a 2 would make 4. And 15 plus 4 would give me a 19 in the middle. So that's my combination. My x's at the beginning have to be 2x and 3x. My back numbers have to be 2 and 5, but I have to, again, be very strategic about this. Do I put the 2 here and the 5 here, or do I put the 5 here and then the 2 here? I go back to thinking about what my numbers have to be. I got to get a 15. The 15 happened when I multiplied the 5 times the 3. Well, here's the 3x. If I want that 3x to multiply the 5 has to go in this spot, right? When we do the I in FOIL, the inner. And then the other number, 2, would have to go here when we do the outer in FOIL. So 2 times 2 would give me the 4, and 5 times 3 would give me the 15. Together, those add up to make 19. If the back sign's a plus, that tells me that the signs have to be the same. If they're both the same, they're both whatever the middle sign is. So in this case, they're both negative. If I wasn't sure if this was right, I would just take my answer and I would multiply these binomials. If I end up with 6x squared minus 19x plus 10 when I'm done, then it is correct. If not, I did it wrong. The next one is not as complicated as that one because I can see right away the leading coefficient of 4 that all three numbers can be divided by 4. So off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and factor out that 4. What would 4 have to multiply to become 4x squared? X squared. What would 4 have to multiply to become 20x? 5x. And what would 4 have to multiply to become 24? 6. Now that the inside trinomial is a level 1, I know how to do these, x and x. Numbers that multiply to make 6 are 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. I need numbers that will add to make the number 5 in the middle. 2 and 3 will add to make 5. Back sign is a positive, so I know my answers have to be the same. They're both going to be whatever the middle is then, so they're both plus. Like so. Let's skip on past 3. Take a look at number 4. 2x squared minus 17x minus 30. Can I factor out the 2? No, because 17 won't be divided by 2. So here I am again making a combination of numbers. 1 times 2 is 2. What could make 30? 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 5 times 6. And I'm looking for a combination that will subtract to give me a 17. So as I think about this, okay, there's no way it can be this with this one, because even if I do 1 times 30, I would get 30. And 2 times 1 is 2. And there's no way that's going to subtract to give me 17. That would subtract to make 28. And if I did it in reverse, it's even worse. 1 times 1 is 1. And 2 times 30 is 60, and those would subtract to make 59. So it can't be that. So as I take a look at this list, again, my goal is to subtract to get 17. I actually see it right here with 1 and 2 and 3 and 10. 1 times 3 would be 3. 2 times 10 would be 20. And a 20 and a 3 can subtract to give me 17. It's a negative 17, so I'm going to need this to be a negative 20 and a positive 3, right? So keep that in mind as I go ahead and start drawing my parentheses. My first two numbers are 1x and 2x. My back numbers have to be 3 and 10, but I need the 10 to multiply the 2 so that I can get my 20. So it needs to go in that spot. And then the 3 would go in the last spot. My signs are going to be different if the back sign's negative, and the bigger number is going to have to be negative. We notice that here. I need a negative 20 and a positive 3. Well, it's the 10 times the 2 that makes the 20. Since I need that to be negative, that's going to get the negative sign. This is going to get the positive sign. Okay. Let's skip on down to number 6. We were talking about this one on practice 10, right? When we were doing these trinomials that was missing the middle term. The reason there's no middle term is because technically the middle term is 0. And they're just not going to write 0x. If there are 0 x's, they're just going to leave it out. So what that's telling me is I need numbers that are going to subtract to make 0. When I think about the factors of 25, that had to be 1 times 25 or 5 times 5. When I think about the numbers that make 9, that's 1 times 9 or 3 times 3. And the only way you're going to subtract to get a 0 is you got to have the same numbers. That's the only way that works. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 3 is also 15. And only the same number, one positive and one negative, can give you 0. So as I open up my two parentheses on this one, I know I need a 5x and a 5x. I need the 3 and the 3. And one's got to be positive and one's got to be negative. Okay. Let's take a look at number 7. All of these can be divided by the leading coefficient of 3. So I'm going to factor out 3. That would give me x squared minus 9x plus 20 on the inside of that parentheses. When I factor the inside trinomial, numbers that make 20 that will add up to make 9 are 4 and 5. My signs would have to be the same, so they're both going to be negative. Okay. Taking a look at number 8, I'm not so lucky on this one. 18, 29, and 3, those numbers cannot be divided by 18. So what are the factors that make 18? 1 times 18, 2 times 9, or 3 times 6. Good news for us on the back end, the only numbers that multiply to make 3 are 1 times 3. I'm looking for a combination of numbers that will add to make 29. And as I take a look here, I think I see it. It's this one with this one. Because 2 times 1 is 2, and 9 times 3 is 27. And if you were to add 2 and 27, you would get 29. So open up my two parentheses. I need a 2x and a 9x to get my 18x squared. I need to put 1 and 3 in the correct spots. Which one did the 3 have to multiply? Did he multiply the 2 or did he multiply the 9? The 3 had to multiply the 9 to give me this 27 I needed. Here's the 9, so I need this number to multiply with the 9. That would be the 3, and this one would be the 1. Are the signs same or different? They are the same. If they're the same, they're both whatever's in the middle, so this time they are both plus. All right, I hope that helps. Any of these others that I didn't do on the video, if you need help, come see me during PLT or class. I'll be glad to help you out on each of those, and I will catch you guys in the next class.